Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English for Everyday Talk. I'm your host, Natasha. Have you ever wondered why your English isn't improving, even though you've studied so much? Let me ask you something. What if the problem isn't your memory, not your grammar, not even your vocabulary? What if the real reason you're stuck is much simpler and much easier to fix? Think about this. No one goes to the gym for 5 hours one day and then never goes again, expecting results. No one eats healthy once a month and expects to feel strong. So why do we treat English learning that way? Study for hours one day, feel tired, skip the next few days, and then start again from zero. It feels productive in the moment, but over time it leads to frustration, slow progress, and doubt. Now here's the truth most people don't realize. Fluency is not built in long, exhausting study sessions. It's built in short, daily moments that seem almost too small to matter. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day, done consistently, can completely change how you think, speak, and understand English. But how does that actually work? Why does something so small create such a big result? And more importantly, how can you start today and finally see real progress? That's exactly what you're going to discover. Most people believe that learning English is about doing more. More grammar, more vocabulary, more hours. So they sit down one day, full of motivation, and say, "Today, I'm going to study for 3 hours." And maybe they do it. They watch videos, memorize words, read texts, and feel productive. But the next day, they feel tired, busy, unmotivated, so they skip. Then another day passes, then another, and suddenly that strong start disappears. This is the biggest mistake English learners make, the all-or-nothing mindset. You either do a lot or you do nothing. At first, it feels powerful. It feels serious. It feels like real effort. But in reality, it creates a cycle of starting, stopping, restarting, and never moving forward. Let's make this real. Imagine two learners. The first person studies English for 3 hours in one day, but then stops for the next 6 days. The second person studies just 15 minutes every single day. At the end of the week, who improves more? Most people think it's the first person, but it's not. The second person wins every time. Why? Because language learning is not about intensity, it's about continuity. Your brain doesn't learn from pressure, it learns from patterns. When you disappear for days, your brain forgets what it just started learning. But when you show up every day, even for a short time, you send a powerful signal. This matters. And your brain adapts. Now let's go deeper, because this mistake is not just about time. It's about emotion. You start excited. You imagine yourself speaking fluently, confident, smooth, natural. But then reality hits. You don't understand everything, you make mistakes, you feel slow. And instead of accepting that as part of the process, you push harder. You try to do more in one day to catch up. And that pressure builds, little by little, until one day you just stop. Not because you can't learn English, but because the process feels too heavy, too exhausting, too frustrating. So you tell yourself, "I'll start again tomorrow." But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month. And this is how people stay stuck for years. Not because they're not capable, but because their method is working against them. Here's the truth you need to hear. You don't need more effort. You need a better system. A system that is simple. A system that is repeatable. A system that works even when you don't feel motivated. Because motivation is unreliable. Some days you have it, some days you don't. But consistency? That's something you can control. Even on your worst day, you can still give 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes matter more than one perfect day of studying. Let's break the illusion. Big effort feels impressive. It feels like progress. But small effort done daily is what creates real change. Think about learning English like building something strong. If you build a little piece every day, eventually it becomes complete. But if you try to do everything in one day, you burn out before you even get close. So the question is not, how much can I do today? The real question is, what can I do every day without stopping? Because that's where fluency begins. Not in big moments, but in small, repeated actions. Again and again, day after day, even when it feels boring, even when it feels slow, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because something is changing, under the surface, quietly. Your brain is adapting, your confidence is growing, your understanding is building, and then one day you notice it. You understand more, you speak faster, you hesitate less, and it surprises you, because it didn't happen in one big moment. It happened through consistency, through small effort, repeated over time. And this time, you didn't stop. Your brain is not designed to learn English in one day. It's designed to learn through repetition, through patterns, through exposure over time. But most people try to force it. They try to push too much information into their brain at once, and when it doesn't work, they think something is wrong with them. But nothing is wrong. You're just using the wrong approach. Let's break it down simply. Your brain has one main job when learning a language: to recognize patterns, not memorize everything, not understand every word, just recognize patterns. For example, imagine you hear this sentence: I'm going to the store. The first time, maybe you understand nothing. The second time, maybe you catch one word. The third time, you recognize the structure. And after hearing it many times, it starts to feel familiar. That's how learning really happens, not in one moment, but across many small moments. Now here's where consistency becomes powerful. When you practice every day, you give your brain repeated exposure. And every time you repeat something, your brain strengthens that connection. It's like walking on a path in the forest. The first time, it's hard. There are trees, obstacles, confusion. But if you walk the same path every day, it becomes clear, easy, automatic. That's exactly what happens in your brain. Neurons connect, patterns form, and things that once felt difficult become natural. Now let's talk about something important: why cramming doesn't work. When you study for hours in one day, your brain gets overwhelmed. It receives too much information, too many new words, too many rules, too many structures, and instead of learning more, it actually remembers less. Because your brain needs time to process, time to rest, time to organize information. This is why short daily practice is more effective. You give your brain small pieces, it processes them, then the next day you repeat and build on it, step by step. Now think about how children learn a language. They don't sit down with grammar books. They don't study for hours. They hear the same words again and again. They repeat. They make mistakes. And slowly they improve. That's natural learning. And your brain still works the same way, even as an adult. You just need to give it the right conditions. Now here's another key idea: automaticity. At the beginning, speaking English feels slow. You think in your language, then translate, then speak. It takes time. It feels uncomfortable, but with repetition, something changes. You stop translating. You start responding. Words come faster. Sentences feel easier. That's because your brain has built strong patterns. It no longer needs to think step by step. It just knows. Like driving a car. At first, everything feels hard. You think about every action. But after practice, you drive without thinking. Language works the same way. Now let's talk about memory. There are two types that matter here: short-term memory and long-term memory. When you study something once, it stays in short-term memory, and then it disappears. But when you repeat something over time, it moves into long-term memory. That's where real learning happens. And the key to that? Consistency, not intensity. If you want to remember words, you need to see them again, and again, and again, in different situations, different sentences, different contexts. That's how your brain says, okay, this is important. I will keep this. Now here's something most learners misunderstand. They think learning is about understanding everything perfectly, but it's not. It's about familiarity. You don't need to understand every word. You just need to recognize patterns, feel the language, get used to it. Clarity comes later. And this is why daily exposure matters so much. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain is still learning, still adapting, still building connections. So when you say, I didn't understand much today, that's okay, because your brain did. In the background, quietly, without you noticing. Now imagine this. You practice 15 minutes every day. That's it. After 1 week, your brain has seen English 7 times. After 1 month, 30 times. After 1 year, 365 times. Do you think that makes a difference? Of course it does. That's the power of repetition. Small input, repeated over time, creates massive change. So the goal is not to study more. The goal is to show up more often. To give your brain what it needs. Not pressure, not overload, but consistency. Because when you work with your brain instead of against it, learning becomes easier, faster, and more natural. And this is where real progress begins. So now you understand something important. Consistency is what creates results. But here's the real question. What exactly should you do every day? Because saying practice daily sounds good, but without a clear plan, it becomes confusing. You sit down and think, okay, what now? And that confusion leads to inaction. So let's fix that. I'm going to give you a simple system. A system you can follow every single day. No stress, no overthinking, just 15 minutes. That's it. And inside those 15 minutes, you will train all the key skills you need: listening, speaking, reading, writing, step by step. Let's start. First, listening. This is where everything begins. If you don't hear the language regularly, your brain has nothing to learn from. So every day, spend about 3 to 5 minutes just listening. Choose something simple, a short podcast, a short conversation, a beginner-friendly video. Don't choose something too difficult. And don't worry about understanding everything. That's not the goal. The goal is exposure. Let the language enter your mind. Let your brain hear the sounds, the rhythm, the flow. Even if you understand only 30%, that's enough, because over time, that 30% becomes 40, then 50, then more. Now, step 2, shadowing. This is one of the most powerful techniques you can use. After listening, pick 1 or 2 short sentences and repeat them out loud with the speaker, at the same time, like an echo. You don't wait, you speak with the audio. At first, it will feel difficult. Your mouth will struggle. Your timing will be off. That's normal. But stay with it. Repeat the same sentence 3, 4, 5 times, and something interesting happens. Your mouth starts to learn. Not your brain, your mouth. The movements become easier. The pronunciation improves. The rhythm becomes natural. And slowly, you start sounding more like a real speaker. Not perfect, but better. Now, step 3, reading. Take 3 to 4 minutes to read something. A small story, a short article, even a simple dialogue. Read slowly. Don't rush. If you see a new word, try to guess its meaning. Look at the sentence. Look at the context. Train your brain to think. If it's too difficult, you can check the meaning. But don't stop for every word. That breaks your flow. The goal is not perfection. The goal is understanding the general idea, because reading builds vocabulary. And more importantly, it shows you how sentences are formed. Now, step 4, writing. This is where you activate what you've learned. Take just 3 minutes and write 3 to 5 simple sentences. That's enough. You don't need to write a long paragraph. Keep it simple. Write about your day. What did you do? What are your plans? What are you thinking right now? For example, today I woke up early. I drank coffee. I studied English for 10 minutes. Simple, clear, effective. This step helps you organize your thoughts. It forces your brain to produce language, and that's where real learning happens. Now the final step, speaking. This is the step most people avoid, but it's the most important. Spend the last few minutes speaking out loud. Not in your head, out loud. You can talk to yourself. Describe what you're doing. Explain your day. Repeat sentences from earlier. It doesn't matter what you say. What matters is that you speak. Because speaking builds confidence. It removes fear. It trains your brain to respond in real time. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Now here's the beauty of this system. It's flexible. If one day you're tired, just do 1 or 2 steps. That's okay. If you have more time, do all 5. But the most important rule is this: don't skip the day. Even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just listening. Show up, because showing up is what builds the habit, and the habit is what creates results. Now let's make it even simpler. Here's your daily plan. Listen, 3 minutes. Shadow, 3 minutes. Read, 3 minutes. Write, 3 minutes. Speak, 3 minutes. Total, 15 minutes. That's it. No complicated system, no stress, no excuses, just a small daily action. And if you follow this, day after day, something powerful starts to happen. You stop feeling lost. You stop wondering what to do. You start moving forward with clarity, with confidence, with direction. And this is where consistency becomes real. Not just an idea, but a daily habit, a daily action, a daily step forward. Imagine this. You finish your 15-minute practice today. It feels small, almost invisible. You might think, did this even matter? But it did. Even after one day, your brain has registered something new. Maybe a word, maybe a sentence structure, maybe just the sound of English flowing naturally. You feel a little proud, a little accomplished. That tiny spark, that's the start of real change. Now let's fast forward 1 week, 7 days in a row. Every day you've listened, shadowed, read, written, spoken. Your brain starts noticing patterns. Your ear recognizes familiar sounds. Your mouth starts remembering phrases automatically. You don't translate every word anymore. You guess meanings from context, and most of the time you're correct. It feels different now, a little more confident, a little freer. After 1 month, this tiny daily habit has transformed your brain. English starts to feel familiar, like a friend you visit every day. You know more words, you speak slightly faster, you make fewer mistakes. You don't panic when you see a new sentence. Your confidence is growing, silently, steadily. But here's the emotional side of it. At first, you may feel shy, afraid of mistakes. That's natural. Everyone starts there. But with daily practice, even short moments, fear slowly fades. You start telling yourself, I can do this. I'm improving. I'm learning. Confidence grows not from perfection, but from showing up every single day. Here's the lesson. Fluency isn't about one massive effort. It's about small, repeated actions that compound over time. Day by day, week by week, month by month. One day, you'll look back and realize you're no longer stuck. You're speaking with ease, understanding more, thinking in English. And it all started with just 15 minutes a day. Consistency is like planting a tree. You water it every day. At first, nothing seems to happen. Then one day, you look up and it has grown strong. Let's be honest. Most people give up learning English, not because they can't do it, but because the journey feels heavier than expected. At first, everything is exciting. The hope of fluency, the dream of understanding movies, speaking freely, traveling, it fuels you. But then reality hits. You forget words, you mispronounce sentences, you struggle to understand native speakers, you feel slow. And that's when doubt creeps in. What if I'll never get better? I'm too old to learn. I'm not talented enough. Sound familiar? This is where most learners quit. It's not a lack of ability, it's fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of being judged, fear of failure. And here's the harsh truth. If you rely only on motivation, you'll stop. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel it, some days you don't. What saves learners from quitting is discipline, consistency, small steps, showing up even when you don't feel like it. Here's a story. Imagine Sarah, beginner learner. First day, she starts with 10 minutes of shadowing. Feels awkward, feels slow, feels embarrassed. Second day, she repeats. Third day, same. She makes mistakes. She hesitates. She questions herself. But she keeps going. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. 1 week later, she notices she recognizes more words. 1 month later, she can answer a simple conversation without translating. 3 months later, she feels confident to speak to strangers. What changed? Not talent, not time. Consistency, daily practice, courage to continue. So how do you avoid quitting? Accept mistakes as part of learning. Mistakes are proof that you're trying, and every error teaches your brain something new. Focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate the small wins, understanding one sentence, using a new word, speaking without pausing. Break it into tiny, manageable steps. 15 minutes is enough. Don't overdo it. Daily consistency beats occasional intensity. Create a supportive environment. Surround yourself with English, podcasts, videos, books, notes. Make it easy to practice. Track your progress. Use a calendar, checklist, or journal. Seeing your growth motivates you more than sheer willpower. Remember, quitting isn't because learning is impossible. It's because most learners expect big results too fast. They push too hard, feel frustrated, and stop. But the learners who succeed, they embrace the process. They trust the system. They keep showing up. Consistency over time trumps bursts of effort. Small daily actions accumulate into massive transformation. And here's the most important mindset shift. Fluency isn't a destination. It's a journey, and every step, no matter how small, is progress. Consistency is the bridge between effort and results. You can have all the motivation in the world, but without habits, it fades fast. The good news? Habits are easier to create than most people think. Let's start with something simple. A calendar or checklist. Imagine this. Every day you complete your 15 minutes, you mark it. Green check, red cross, whatever works. Seeing your progress visually feels powerful. It sparks pride. It reminds you, I showed up today. That small reward reinforces your habit, and after a few weeks, you'll want to keep the streak going more than anything. Next, set a timer. We all think, I don't have time. The truth is, you have 10 minutes. Set a timer. Promise yourself, I will focus for just 10 minutes. That small commitment removes overwhelm. It's manageable. You feel control. And guess what? Most days, once the timer ends, you'll feel motivated to continue. Another habit, pick a fixed time. Morning, night, commute, whatever fits your life. Doing English at the same time every day creates automaticity. Your brain learns, this is my English time. Like brushing your teeth, it becomes routine, effortless, unavoidable. Here's a big one. Make practice fun and easy. If you love cooking, read a recipe in English. If you love music, sing along to English songs. If you love travel, watch a 5-minute video about a place you want to visit. Enjoyment keeps your brain engaged. It makes practice feel less like work and more like pleasure. And lastly, prepare your tools in advance. Keep a podcast ready, a short story open, and your notebook nearby. When everything is ready, starting becomes frictionless. You remove excuses, you remove hesitation. Now imagine combining all these habits. You follow your calendar, you set your timer, you practice at the same time every day, you do something you enjoy, you have everything ready. It becomes effortless, automatic, natural. The amazing part? Habits compound like money in the bank. Day 1, small action. Week 1, momentum builds. Month 1, progress is visible. 6 months, you look back and can hardly recognize your old self. Consistency doesn't feel magical because it works quietly. It works beneath the surface. You don't notice dramatic change each day, but one day you speak fluently, you understand more, you think in English, and you realize it wasn't one big effort that did this. It was tiny actions every single day. So if you want to transform your English, start with habits, small, repeatable, enjoyable habits. Build them, protect them, treasure them, and your fluency will grow, quietly but surely. Now, let's take a moment to step back and see the bigger picture. You've learned something important today. Fluency doesn't come from studying for hours in one day. It comes from showing up, day after day, small, consistent steps that slowly but surely transform your English. Think about it. One day, 1 week, 1 month of consistent practice may not feel like much, but over time, it adds up. Your confidence grows, your comprehension grows, your ability to speak without hesitation grows, and more importantly, your belief in yourself grows. Remember the story of the tree. You water it daily. You don't see immediate growth, but over time, it grows strong, healthy, and tall. That's your English journey. Your consistent efforts are the water. Your daily practice is the sunlight. Your patience is the soil. Even if progress feels slow, even if mistakes happen, even if you feel like giving up, keep going. Each small step compounds. Each small victory counts. Here's the truth. You already have everything you need to succeed. You have the time, you have the ability, you have the willingness. You just need to act. Start small. Commit to 10 or 15 minutes every day. Listen, shadow, read, write, speak. Track your progress, celebrate the wins, and let consistency work its magic. Because one day you'll look back and realize you've become the fluent, confident English speaker you always wanted to be. And that transformation begins with your action today. So, my friend, start now. Take that first step and keep showing up. I'm Natasha, and this is English for Everyday Talk. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you can keep growing your English every single day. You've got this.
Thank you very much, dear friends, for watching the full video.